say that you grew up in a culture that found it appropriate to pick up your leg and cut a big fart after a good meal. Now imagine that you grew up in this culture and everywhere you went, every city that you went to, every family that you interacted with, no matter what color they were, it was just the culture, it was the custom to just rip one after dinner. You would think that that was normal behavior, correct? You would think that that's the way that you say good meal. Some people burp. You know, there's certain things that you grow up doing just because it's the way things are done. And you don't ever really find out that that's actually not accepted until you come around someone or go around someone where that is actually offensive. So let's just say you come from, the country that likes to pass gas after dinner, and you move to America. The first time you go to an American's dinner gathering and rip one off, you're going to find a shocking reaction from pretty much everybody at the table. If it's not direct, it will be body language. You'll see that, whoa, this didn't go off quite the way that I thought it was going to. That's just human conditioning. That's just the way that it goes. When we grow up with what we grow up with, it is what it is. And it stays this way until something happens, like you come to America, or whatever it is, whatever the thing is. The enlightening doesn't happen until you run up against resistance that's opposing to what you believe. A lot of us that in the manosphere, and apparently in where the women are as well, a lot of us grow up believing the conditioning that we receive. And because of this, and because it's so widespread throughout all races, classes, it is what it is. In America, we grew up believing that it was your right to do as you wish, do as you feel, take what you want, and that's it. Be free with your intentions, be free with your sex, and just have fun. Do what you want to do. It's really Aleister Crowley's wet dream, what we have today. We have Sodom and Gomorrah today. Everything goes. What was once bad is good, and what was once good is now an abomination. Well, it seems like maybe I'm beating up this Tomi Lahren situation, but I don't see it that way. The way I look at it is this is a huge teaching and tipping point where we actually have an opportunity to take a look at what's wrong, not just with our relationships, but with our country. Because what she was crying about, it was self-induced. But so is everything that men cry about. And while that might irritate a bunch of my angry listeners, I don't give a shit. You need to listen. You need to understand this fundamental truth about life. All of us need to understand this. Because once you get this fact down, once you start to understand this truth, then it's really hard to look at any group or any people and point the finger. And that simple truth is this. When you're engaged with other people and you're an adult, you get exactly what you ask for. And it might not be on a direct level. It might not be such that you ask a person, hey, you know what? Lie to me, manipulate me, steal from me, deceive me, cheat on me, then dump me and rip my heart out. No one really wants that up front. But if you pull all the onion layers back and look at your own complicity in everything that happens in your life, you're going to find out that at some level, even the darkest, most painful thing, you either saw it and or you asked for it. And it doesn't make a lot of sense on the surface. But that's not what life is about. Life is about learning lessons and then making adjustments so you can get back in the fight and kick some ass instead of getting your ass kicked. Now, this Tomi situation sounds really, really similar to a lot of the people that are in the manosphere making content. A lot of the sorrow guys, the guys that want to make content pointing out the errant ways of women and putting a highlight on our hypergamy and just really try to put their elbows in the back of women for doing the things that most guys have enjoyed over the course of their life. But the problem with it is this. Most of these dudes come to the content, come to creating content, and they're just angry little boys. And then they get a following of angry little boys that want to stay in this place where they just say, oh, women are bad. I'm going to play with my action figures and my video games because I'm a real man and no woman can tell me what to do. It's a bunch of goofy-ass dudes high-fiving one another in their mother's basement. And granted, some of these mothers' basements are really, really well put together on the dimes of the men that are simping over their content. If you're not growing, if all you're doing is getting together and whining about what the other sex is doing, you're no better than the other side that's doing the same thing, that's creating the same problems that we have today. Everybody wants to talk, but nobody wants to listen. Everybody wants to reap the rewards of having a healthy, stable relationship, but what's the strategy about going about getting these things? What actually do you do to get these people involved in your life? What is the process? A lot of things that I hear, the tale goes from, man, it started off one way, and then all of a sudden it just, it goes from, a happy occasion to the most terrible nightmare, all with the flip of a switch, and the person telling the story has no idea why or how this happened. No reflection, no introspection, just a bunch of whining and blaming all the people that they have invited willingly into their lives, kept them, and then got dogged by them. And it's always that person's fault. It's always that person's fault. And eventually you start to believe that the other side is all that way. And it's way easier to find a group of losers because most people, fundamentally, Tomi was right. Most men are fucking trash, but so are most women. So people are just getting exactly what they deserve. Exactly what they deserve. And I'm going to tell you, this is probably what has happened in most of the cases, one way or another, or it's retribution from Mother Nature, from the universe, for doing these things. Tomi laid out a really, really simple map to read. If you're high enough on the mountain to look down and see it without trying to impose your own brand of sorrow or whatever happened to you. I've removed a lot of comments in the comment section from dumb little boys and ignorant men and stupid bitches that want to come in here and say dumb shit. They're obviously not listening to my content, or they just don't want to look in the mirror. Whatever it is, I don't entertain stupid. This is grown man business. I don't entertain any of this goofy stuff that's celebrated on a bunch of these channels. I don't need your support that bad at all. I don't need your support at all. I'm trying to help you. I'm trying to help you get out of whatever it is that brought you to this content in the first place. Now, when you look at Tomi's situation, she was just engaged to a guy for all intents and purposes, was a perfect man, according to what she thinks a man should be. By her own words, he was perfect. But Tomi believes in her mind that even though she had perfect, she deserves better. It's because she's delusional. It's because she's delusional and we live in a Facebook, Instagram, Insta-like, TikTok world where people are deluded by their quote-unquote following. And they get wrapped up in this and they really believe that they have some level of importance. Now, when you look at Tommy's pictures from when she was, before she could afford plastic surgery, and look at her now, the person that she is still that man-looking thing that she used to be. Tomi Lahren's not a pretty woman. She's carved her face up to the point where she looks like every other blonde walking around today. But she's ugly on the inside. And all it takes is about a few seconds to listen to her talk, and you can just smell the darkness in her soul. But in our society, because she's designed herself to look like the carbon copy Barbie doll girl, dudes will rail her out because men pick things based off of physicality, just like women do. The guys that are boning Tomi and leaving her sorrowful, these dudes are probably all apex predators. On whatever scale that they hunt in, they're all sharks. They're all sharks. These guys are the dudes that all women that are hunting for these attributes that they have, all the women in Tommy's circle want these guys. And so when she gets together with all her awesome friends and they go, and Chad with the big muscles and, you know, with the perfect beach body and the hair combed over just right with the tips highlighted and all of that, her Baywatch fantasies, whenever this dude comes up with his knuckles dragging on the ground and can't put two fucking sentences together, that dude right there, in Tommy's mind, that's a catch. And she'll go let that dude beat her up with the hopes that her awesomeness will rub off on him and she can teach this ogre some words and prop him up and prep him up, and he can be her perfect little thing that she can show all of her friends and make them jealous. But you could tell by the pictures of her and her fiance, Tommy's not a lovable woman. Tommy's not a feminine woman at all. All of her pictures, she was pulling away from the dude. None of them looked like she was in love with the dude. It looked like she was taking pictures with a fan. And so what she's got in her brain is that at some point, these apex predators, these physical specimens that are ghosting her after they use her up, these guys are supposed to stay around because they don't have the money or the status or whatever that her and her awesome friends have. But this is the same story that men tell. When men talk about women's hypergamy and the woman did this and out of the blue, this, that, and the other, there's no real look at how you got there, who you were dealing with. Did you use your money to attract a gold digger and then get shocked when you find one? Did you go find some chick at a strip club or at the bar or at the club with your friends acting like a slizzle and you thought you were going to be the best dude she ever saw because she told you were, and got your heart broke when you found out that she was still a slot machine? How did you vet the woman that broke your soul? Just like I asked Tomi the same thing. You talking shit about all these guys, but how did you vet them? What was the criteria for them to enter into your kingdom and enter into you, and vice versa? See, the things that hurt us the most are the things that we want the most, that we need the least. These people, both men and women, these people that only consume and never give, they're parasitic cowards. And I know this to be true because I found out that I was the same way, and I didn't even know it. I had no idea. I had no idea until the world, the universe, the gods, whatever it is that you believe dishes you back what you pay. It gave me a very clear look at what I was and what I had done. And I'll give you an example when I wrap this up, and I hope it makes sense here. We don't have a good strategy about how we pick people. We go off of feelings. We go off of impulses. We go off of emotions. We do not have any real guidelines because we're not given any. Lack of male leadership and lack of cohesive relationships as children, that's the starting point. That's the launch off point. But when we don't have men, as young boys showing us, telling us, guiding us, then we listen to older dummies that listen to older dummies. There's no guidance. And so you treat queens like whores and whores like queens, just like the older guy told you to. And then you go through your life and then you wake up realizing that you fucked up. Now, this is what really brought me to where I am today and really planted the seed of my growth. And I'll give you a quick story and I'll tie this up. When I was in college and in high school, there was a girl, one in high school, one in college. And both of these girls, the story is the same story. And so I'll tell it once. Both of them were beautiful girls. Both of them were smart. They were ambitious in their own right. They were super feminine. They were really, really good girls. These girls would do anything for me. At the drop of a dime, it would, no matter where they were at, no matter what they were doing, no matter who they were with, they would do anything for me. And I basically friend zoned these girls, even though, on occasion we would hook up and just hang out and do the thing. There was never I never really listened to anything that they felt. Even though they talked, I never really paid attention to anything that they were saying. I was just consumed with my own desires, my own wants. And so I never heard a word that either one of them said. Well, over the course of time, the course of our friendship was a couple of years on both sides. These girls did a lot of things for me because I considered them just friends. I didn't protect them or hide them from anything. As a matter of fact, they helped me do some of the things that hurt them. And one of them, the girl in high school, when my car broke down, she used to take me places that I wanted to go. And on several occasions, I had her come and pick me up and drop me off at another girl's house. And I never thought anything about it because we were just friends. It was just, we just hooked up. It was no big deal. But she was talking to me, and I would either ignore or shut down some of the things that she would say because they were uncomfortable. For whatever reason, they were uncomfortable at the time. So I never really got into any feelings with her. Well, fast forward 20-something years, and MySpace comes out, and I end up connecting with both of these people. Again, same story. It's almost verbatim. And so I end up getting back together with these girls, and just to have dinner and catch up. It had been 15, 20 years since I had been involved with them. And so both of these women told me stories about the pain that I caused them when we were younger. Because the things that they did for me and with me was because they really liked me. As a matter of fact, they loved me. These women were good girls. They were really good girls. As a matter of fact, they were too good. Because on some level, I think I believe that because of my upbringing and because of who I was, I didn't deserve to be with anybody like that. I couldn't live up to the standard that was surely to be had there. And so I just took what I could get, and I didn't pay attention to anything else. And I just drove the knife into the hearts of these girls doing what I was doing. And when I heard Jennifer tell me about this, she was the one that opened up my eyes first. And then later on I would hear from the other one in college. Her name was Stacy. When Jennifer told me this, it made me think of all the other women that I had done that to in my life. All the women that I just lied to, used, put in the position just to rail them out, and then like a coward ghosted on them, didn't tell them anything, or told them lies to keep them in place. Never thought anything about that at all. Just doing what I wanted to do, having fun. No harm, no foul, right? Well, I did this for decades. Not taking anything seriously. And then when I finally did, I got an awakening. I got a person, a female, that was exactly everything ugly that I had been, all in one person. All of the discarding, the ignoring, all of it. And it sucked. It absolutely sucked. And in that moment, when I wanted to be mad and point my finger at the other place, I remembered Jennifer's words. I remember how bad I hurt her and all the girls that were like her in my life. They were all good girls. They were good girls. They were women. They were feminine. They were too good. And I chose the bad ones. I chose the bad ones over and over again. And it would have been real easy for me to say, you know what, all women are nasty whores. But the truth is I felt at some level that that's what I deserved because I was better than them. I didn't have to live up to anything with them. Just had to show up and be just like them. That's all they have to do. They didn't have to have any requirements. See, that's the way it works. We walk through the good people so we can lay down for the bad ones. We don't do for good people to go shower people that don't give a shit about us with everything that we got. And then we want to get mad at the other side and say they're all trash. Maybe, just maybe, you might want to clean up your own house before you start talking shit about somebody else's. Tommy was right. Men are trash. So are women. It's time that we clean it up, people. Out.